There is a kind of tiredness that has nothing to do with how much you've worked. It lives somewhere between the moment you open your banking app and the moment you close it without really looking. It's the tiredness of a relationship with money that never feels quite settled, where you're always doing something about it, always meaning to fix it, always starting over on Monday, and somehow still arriving at the end of the month in the same place you started. Most of us have tried the solutions: the budgeting apps with the color-coded categories, the envelope system that worked for 11 days, the spreadsheet that felt satisfying to build and exhausting to maintain, the financial influencer whose advice made perfect sense in the video and fell apart in the grocery store. We are not lazy. We are not irresponsible. We are people who were handed a complicated relationship with money and never given the tools to make it peaceful. In Japan, there is a different starting point. Not a system, exactly. Not a method with steps and subcategories and accountability charts. Something quieter than that. A set of rules, just 3, that Japanese families have lived by for generations, not because they were told to, but because they emerged from a deeper understanding of what money actually is and what it's actually for. These 3 rules will not promise to make you rich. They will not give you a side hustle or a passive income stream or a morning routine that triples your net worth. What they will offer is something rarer and honestly more useful: a wallet that feels peaceful, a relationship with money that no longer hums with anxiety in the background of everything you do. There are only 3. And that is entirely the point. The first rule is called Kansha no Saifu, which translates imperfectly as the wallet of gratitude. But to understand what this means, you have to understand something about how the Japanese relationship with objects works, because it is fundamentally different from ours. In Japan, particularly in the Shinto tradition, objects are not inert. Things that are used daily, cared for, and kept close accumulate a kind of presence. This is not mystical in the Western sense. It is closer to an understanding that the way we treat ordinary things reveals and shapes the way we move through the world. And the wallet, in Japanese culture, is not just a container for money. It is the home that money lives in, and how you treat that home says everything about how you relate to what it holds. Most of us treat our wallets the way we treat our car's back seat: old receipts, expired loyalty cards from stores we haven't visited in 2 years, coins mixed with lint, crumpled notes folded into odd triangles. The wallet is not thought about. It is used, stuffed, and forgotten until it becomes so full it barely closes. The Kansha no Saifu rule says, treat your wallet as you would treat a guest room in your home. Not with obsessive perfection, but with the kind of care that says, I value what lives here. Think about a library. A well-kept library is not just a collection of books. It's a space where each book has a place, where things are organized not for control, but for clarity. When you walk into a well-kept library, you feel something, a calm that an overflowing, chaotic room of books doesn't give you, even if both contain the same titles. The organization is not aesthetic vanity. It is respect for what the books contain. Your wallet is a library, and the way it's kept, the chaos or the clarity, shapes how you feel about money every single time you open it. Kansha means gratitude, and the practice of keeping your wallet with care is, at its core, an act of gratitude for the money you do have. Not the money you wish you had, the money that is actually there, right now, living in that small leather house you carry everywhere. In practice, this rule is almost embarrassingly simple. Japanese women, in particular, have a tradition of never putting their wallet on the floor, because the floor is the lowest energy in a space, and money deserves to be treated with a kind of respect. They fold their bills neatly, all facing the same direction. They remove receipts regularly. They carry a wallet that still has some room inside it, because a wallet so stuffed it can barely breathe is, symbolically and practically, a wallet that has no room for anything new to enter. The psychological effect of this is not superstition. It is real and measurable. When your wallet is clear and organized, you open it with a different quality of attention. You actually see what's there. You make more conscious decisions. You stop losing track of what you've spent because you are no longer treating your wallet, and by extension your money, as something to be ignored until it demands attention. Try this. Tonight, take 5 minutes and empty your wallet completely. Remove every receipt, every expired card, every coin that has migrated to a corner. Fold your bills neatly, face up, largest to smallest. Only put back what belongs there. Carry that wallet tomorrow and notice how it feels to open it. Just notice. That is Kansha no Saifu. The second rule is older than any personal finance book that has ever been written. It comes from a practice that Japanese merchants developed during the Edo period, roughly 1603 to 1868, a time of extraordinary commercial growth in Japan when trade was booming and the temptation to overspend was as real as it is today. The practice was called shushi kanri, and it means simply, know what comes in before you decide what goes out. This sounds obvious, and yet almost no one actually does it. Not consistently, not honestly, not before the month has already happened. Here's what most of us do instead. We have a general sense of what we earn. We spend as life requires and as mood suggests. We look at the balance occasionally, more often when we're anxious than when we're calm. We make vague promises to ourselves about next month. And the pattern continues, month after month, year after year, with a persistent feeling that we should be further along than we are, without ever quite understanding why we aren't. Shushi Kanri is different from budgeting as we know it in the West. Western budgeting is usually about restriction. You set limits on what you can spend in each category and then try not to exceed them. It is a discipline system, and discipline systems require willpower, which is finite, inconsistent, and depleted by stress, the exact state in which most financial decisions are made. Shushi Kanri does not begin with restriction. It begins with clarity. The merchant who practiced Shushi Kanri did not start by deciding what he couldn't buy. He started by writing down, with absolute precision, what came into the business. Every coin, every transaction, every source of income. Not as a moral exercise, as an act of professional respect for the reality of his situation. Think about a river. If you want to understand a river, whether it's healthy, whether it's changing, whether it has enough water to sustain the land around it, you don't start by trying to control it. You start by watching it. You sit on the bank and observe the current, the depth, the speed. You learn its patterns before you decide anything about how to work with it. And only once you truly know the river can you make intelligent decisions about where to build and where to let it flow. Your income is the river, and most of us have never actually sat on the bank and watched it. We experience it in fragments. The paycheck deposit, the automatic bills, the surprise withdrawal, the end-of-month mystery of where it all went. We are trying to manage a river we have never truly observed. Shushi Kanri asks you to observe first, to know with precision what your income actually is, not approximately, not roughly, but exactly, including every irregular source, every fluctuation, every pattern. And then, only then, to decide what goes out. The Edo period merchants who practiced this had accounts that survived centuries. Some of Japan's oldest companies, including Kongo Gumi, a construction company founded in 578 AD that survived until 2006, making it the world's oldest continuously operating business, maintained ledgers of extraordinary precision and simplicity. Not because they were obsessed with money, but because clarity about money gave them the freedom to focus on everything else. But if that reframes how you think about knowing your income, wait until you hear the third rule, because this is the one that changes not just your finances, but the entire feeling of your daily life. Try this. Before the next month begins, write down, not in an app, by hand, every source of income you expect to receive. Include the exact amounts, the exact dates. Look at that number for a full minute, not to judge it, not to wish it were different, just to know it, clearly and completely. That single act of knowing is the beginning of Shushi Kanri. The third rule has no direct English translation, which tells you something important about how rarely we practice it. It comes from the Zen Buddhist tradition, and has been woven into Japanese economic behavior for so long that many Japanese people practice it without even naming it. It is called Tobikoshi Kinshi, and it means, roughly, do not leap over. The full phrase, as it appears in older texts, describes the practice of not spending from the next month before the current month has ended, not borrowing from the future to cover the present, not the kind of forward spending that credit makes so frictionless and so dangerous. But Tobikoshi Kinshi goes deeper than just avoiding debt. In its original context, it describes something more subtle and more important, the discipline of living completely within the present period of your financial life, without reaching forward into what hasn't arrived yet. Here is what reaching forward looks like in a modern life. You buy something on a credit card because you'll be paid in 10 days. You take out a personal loan to cover something that feels urgent now. You sign up for a buy now, pay later plan because the amount feels manageable when it's divided. You tell yourself you'll save more next month when things calm down. You put off the dentist, the car service, the insurance review, until next month, which arrives with the same pressures and the same promises deferred to the month after. We are living, most of us, at least 3 months ahead of ourselves. We are spending from futures that haven't happened yet, paying for pasts that are already over, and barely inhabiting the present financial moment at all. It's like trying to drive a car while looking only at the rearview mirror and the horizon. You can't see the road in front of you, the road you're actually on, right now, in this moment. And so, you keep drifting. Tobikoshi Kinshi says, come back to now. Spend from what is here, not from what is coming, not to make up for what is gone, from what is actually, concretely, presently available. This rule is not just about avoiding debt, though it does that. It is about a fundamentally different relationship with time. When you spend only from what is here, you become extraordinarily aware of what is here. The present financial moment, this week, this pay period, this season of your life, becomes real and specific in a way it never is when you're always borrowing from somewhere else. The Japanese have a phrase that captures this orientation toward the present. Ichigo Ichie. It is often translated as one time, one meeting, the understanding that this moment, exactly as it is, will never come again. Most commonly applied to tea ceremonies or meaningful encounters, it is also, quietly, a financial philosophy. This paycheck will never come again. This month, with its specific pressures and specific opportunities, is a one-time event. How do you want to move through it? When you practice Tobikoshi Kinshi, something unexpected happens. You stop feeling behind. Not because your balance has changed, but because you are no longer measuring your present against a future that hasn't arrived, or a past that can't be changed. You are measuring your present against your present, and in that comparison, there is almost always more room than you thought. Think about a meal eaten slowly. When you eat too fast, you finish before you've actually tasted anything, and then you're hungry again almost immediately, reaching for the next thing before the current thing has been fully received. But when you eat slowly, with attention, a smaller amount of food satisfies you more completely. You experience it. You arrive at the end of the meal feeling like something real has happened. Living financially within the present month is eating slowly. The portion doesn't change, but the satisfaction does, completely. Try this. For the next 30 days, make one commitment. No purchase that borrows from next month. No credit, no deferred payment, no I'll sort it out when I get paid. Only what is here, now. Not forever, just for 30 days. And notice what happens, not just to your balance, but to how you feel when you open your wallet. 3 rules, 3 only. Kansha no saifu. Treat your wallet as a home that deserves care, not a container that deserves neglect. Shushi kanri. Know what comes in before you decide what goes out. Tobikoshi Kinshi. Live in the present financial moment and do not leap over into a future that hasn't arrived. What all 3 of these have in common is not strategy. They are not about numbers. They are about attention. The quality of attention you bring to money, to time, to the present reality of your financial life. The Japanese have long understood something that most modern financial culture seems determined to avoid. That the feeling of financial peace is not a reward you get after you've hit a certain number. It is a practice you develop in the way you handle ordinary things. Your wallet, your awareness of income, your relationship with the present moment. Peace is not at the end of the work. It is in the quality of the work itself. And 3 rules is enough to begin. You do not need 8. You do not need a complete system overhaul. You need 3 things, practiced consistently, with patience and without self-judgment. The Japanese have a word for that patient, consistent practice. Katachi. It means form, the shape of a repeated action, done the same way until it becomes natural, until it becomes you. A peaceful wallet is not a perfect wallet. It is not a wealthy wallet or an optimized wallet or a wallet that has never made a mistake. It is a wallet that you understand, that you respect, and that you carry through your financial life with a quality of attention that makes you feel, even on ordinary days, even in difficult months, that you are not at the mercy of money. You are in relationship with it. And that relationship, like every meaningful relationship, begins not with the other, not with the number, but with you. So I want to leave you with one question, not to answer out loud, but to carry with you today. Of these 3 rules, which one describes the relationship you have never quite managed to build with money? And what would it feel like if you did? If something in this conversation about money felt different from what you normally hear, quieter maybe, or more honest, this channel was made for exactly that feeling. Every video here explores the Japanese philosophies and practices that can genuinely transform your relationship with finances, without the pressure, without the hustle, and without the shame. Subscribe if you want more of this. There is a lot more to discover together.